This next video is a very interesting topic, in my opinion. Comes from Paul Munoz. Thanks for the suggestion, Paul. And I'm going to title it the way he wrote it, Schoolboy's Perfect Dog. And he wrote, if you could take an attribute from a certain dog or dogs to make the best dog, how would you choose it? So naturally, as a breeder, that's what you're trying to make, the perfect dog or dogs. And that would be something that's considered an ace, male or female. So even though not all dogs are perfect, maybe they're not 100%, they're real close to it. If you talk about dogs like Grand Champion Queen of Hearts, Double Grand Champion Tornado, Grand Champion Art, Grand Champion Zebo, Grand Champion Angus, Aussie's Homer, because even aces can lose. Even, there's no better way, I don't think, that you can lose that's any more impressive, more honorable, more respectful than Aussie's Homer did. So in my mind, I'm trying to put together top-notch dogs, the perfect dog, if you will. And so I'm going to use some of my dogs as an example. Not that I had anything I would consider perfect, although they were perfect to me. Most dogs lack something. But also good dogs and great dogs have attributes that are not matched by a lot of other dogs that you have and see. So I have several different attributes here that he wrote. I added some of my own. And it's something to ponder even in your own mind and in your own breeds. What do you consider a perfect dog? For someone out there, it might be a conformation champion or a sports champion, or on the intelligence side, a working dog that can hunt or can learn multiple jobs. It may have skills like doing things on command, verbal commands, hand signals, athleticism, agility, something you can take anywhere, a dog you can take into any situation, a dog that can be in public, a dog that can fly on planes, in the cargo hold, or even maybe as a, what do they call them, the service dogs or whatever you want to call them, something like that. And pit bulls, they've always had, again, not all of them, not 100%, they've had any number of those skills that I just mentioned that went along with the competition side of the past. A lot of the great dogs of the past had that type of intelligence, had that type of athleticism. Multifaceted, multi-working dogs do all kinds of different things. Not to mention they're in tune and bonded with their owners. We've all heard dogs that can smell cancer and they know when something's going to happen. Can sense epileptic seizures that their owners are going to have. And we've seen them do that kind of work. Work in the military, do police work, bomb sniffing and drug sniffing dogs. So for me, I'm gonna talk about the past. Like always, nothing intended or meant to be used for illegal purposes. This is all history and knowledge, education. Some of my dogs could do some of those things. And I've known of other dogs that could do certain things that weren't considered normal. right? That's part of being a great dog, I think. But as far as the competition side, I'm going to go down a little list here, and I'm going to include some dogs. Like I said, some are mine because they fit that category, but none of mine fit all these categories. And it's very rare. I can't think of one dog that I've seen or even read about or know about, that could fit all these categories. Now, a dog like Art filled a lot of them, because one of the things that I mentioned before, I'll do it again. People thought he was a man biter. He wasn't. He was a baby. He was a gentleman. Stinson said he rode in his truck, sat in his office, at his business, sat with his kids and watched TV, right? I don't know how he was with other dogs, if he was that type that would attack anything, but he had that intelligence about him, that amiability about him, that patience about him, even when he fought. He was a devastating dog, a bone crusher, all that, true. But he was smart too. So I'm just going to name dogs I saw and their attributes. First one, strength, power. I'll say this, with my dogs, two attributes, or three if you want to put it a certain way, that I tried to keep in my dogs was speed and power, or strength. But speed and power was very important to me. The old saying, speed kills, and you need strength. Strength to overpower, strength for endurance, strength to get you in and out of situations, strength for offense, strength for defense, in fact. So in that category, I put our champion Bill. He was the strongest dog that I ever saw, of any dogs I saw compete in the past and all through my career that I was competing. For his size and weight, he was the strongest dog. He had a lot of power. He could put dogs that were 10 pounds bigger than him on their back and keep them there. That's how strong he was. And he was fast too. Very offensive minded. For power, strength, that I would put Bill in there. It's when you see something like that, especially from the get-go, he was always like that as a young dog, as a pup. My son raised him, and he'd always pull on his lead unless my son told him not to. But encouraged to pull and work and be strong like that. He had great stamina. He had a lot of power and some endurance to go along with that. As far as going the distance, his longest match was 1 hour 31 minutes. He was on his feet the whole time and never took off his feet. He had his opponent down or on his back probably 3/4 of the match, but that was his longest. But that's how you can kind of test a dog's endurance too, is how they are at the end of the show. What their fatigue or non-fatigue looks like, whether they're on their feet, how tired they are. And Bill was like that through his matches, through his rolls, all the way through. His longest rolls was 43 minutes. Oh, he stopped a brother that we had acquired. It was a brother to Havana Boys champion Blondie. I think his name was Outlaw. Anyways, he stopped him for his third roll, and I matched him after that. Then he won in 1 hour 31, 48 minutes, and 37 minutes. So as far as power, strength, I'd have to say champion Bill. Mouth, I mentioned this dog before. After seeing this dog, this is the dog that I compared other dogs that bit hard. And that was Mr. Black. Mr. Black, owned by a local guy in my area. I saw him roll twice, finish his opponents quick. He did it with ease, aplomb, no effort, whatever adjective you want to use. That was the hardest biting dog I ever seen. Took one leg out, crushed the side of the skull, punctured the lungs. Those are probably the only 3 holds I remember him taking. First roll, he took a leg out with one bite. Crushed the side of the skull with the other bite. The next roll, 4 holes in the chest. Done. Took 10 minutes. First one was 8 minutes. And whether you're talking about dogs like, even dogs I didn't see, like my buddy says, BIV's champion Angel was the hardest biting dog he seen. He wrecked stuff. That's the way he put it. And other people told me the same thing. Or Black Angel, you know, Rancherita's Black Angel, or Art, or Zebo, dogs I didn't see. Or you hear about Queen of Hearts. You hear about even Honey Bunch, known to be a hard biter, like that. None of her matches went very long. Queen of Hearts had 8 matches. None of them went, I don't think she ever went 40 minutes in any of her matches. Tornado, I saw her on film. She was a hard biter, very strong and fast. She could fit in one of these categories. A lot of short matches. She had 10 of them, but she had long ones too. So, you know, that could be due to wear and tear, could be the quality of the opponent, whatever it is. She finished. She always finished last. So that's why she gets so much credit. She fought a lot of famous camps, competitions, beat some very good dogs, Black Cat, Tance Black Cat, and famous competitors, Tito and the Local Boys, you know, for example. And dogs like that are known to be hard biters, because not all hard biters finish quick. Zebo would be a good example. Again, not many of his matches went too long, but because he went up in 3 pounds and had a short keep, went up 3 pounds in weight, had a short keep, and fought a great dog in Champions Greaser, who was a 4-time winner, he went almost 2 hours. Takes nothing away from his mouth, because ultimately it was his mouth that wore Greaser down. And that's quite an accomplishment. There's not a lot of dogs that can do that. They have to be great dogs, and that mouth has to play a part in it in many, many cases. So as far as mouth, Mr. Black for me. Evil looking, he was black. He may have had a little bit of white on him somewhere in there, but that's why he was called Mr. Black, because he was black. But not only was his body black, so were his eyes, cold, staring eyes, no emotion. He wasn't mean. You could pet him, you could touch him, you could handle him, you could work him, do all kinds of stuff with him. But I don't remember him putting out any emotion, just like a lot of dogs do, who are just real amiable towards people and wag their tail and happy to see you and all that. He wasn't that type. That's the way Bronze Champion Ninja was too, kind of cold, didn't show a lot of emotion. You could pet him, handle him, do like that. There's a lot of dogs like that. They're not mean to people, they're not mean to children, they're not man biters or man eaters or anything like that. They're just stoic and cold. It's not a bad attribute. They're there to do their job, they do it good, they're good at doing it, and just solitary, single-minded, I would say. Speed, and with this I'm going to put females and males together, so it doesn't mean I pick one over the other, although I did match more males than females. But the attributes are from the dog, so some of them are from females and males, females, and some are from males. But if I was putting a dog together, it would be a male. So if I could take an attribute from some of these females, I would do it, because they deserve it. And there's a term we used to say back in the day, females make the best fights, because they're mean and they're nasty and tenacious and like that. That's just an opinion. For speed, I have to put OTK's Daisy, just fast. Get in quick, move quick, fast mouth, fast twitch muscle movement. She had all that. Tough bitch. She won. I saw her win Best in Show on an 11-card show. She was the last match on the show. Females go last. She was the last one. I think there was female before her. But she definitely deserved that. 22 minutes, over and done. Against a two-time winner who was a good bitch. Daisy came out quick, hit that shoulder, like a lot of them do. And that bitch latched on her muzzle. Took a little piece of skin out, cracked some teeth. Daisy kept in that shoulder, in that front end, till she switched to the rear end. Got in between her legs. No way to get her out. Quick, just quick movement. You see opportunity, boom, you go for it. It's fast. So for speed, I put OTK's Daisy. Another black dog, shiny black, perfect condition. Just, you know, when she won, I was there with Danny Burton. When she won, Danny stood up and said, "You ain't gonna beat that bitch." That's how impressive she was. And she had a second match where she met her match in mouth-wise because she had a good mouth. But this bitch she was against in her second one had a better mouth. Busted her up, cut her up, chopped her up. Daisy wouldn't quit, outgamed her. She got Gameness in show, well deserved. But her speed, her strength, that's what kept her from getting overwhelmed. And I saw the same thing with OT's case champion Khaleesi, who won in 2 hours and 17 minutes. Speed will do that to you. Will help you in a tough situation. If you can move faster, think faster, react faster, it can get you out of situations or keep you out of situations where they might have an adverse effect. And speed helped Khaleesi, just like it helped Daisy. Very impressive female, both of them. But as far as speed goes, I put Daisy up there, the top. So I need her type of speed in my perfect dog. Stamina, I put the white dogs in that type of category. And you could say endurance too. A lot of their matches were distance fights. But they had great stamina. Just keep going, keep going, keep going. So they had that you could put both stamina and endurance in white dogs. But later on I'll mention endurance and mention a different dog. So I'll put the white dogs in the stamina section. Dogs like Champion Bullshit, Mighty Dog, who was a two-time winner. He beat TDK, Billy Stevens' dog, and he beat Tito and the Local Boys, both in over an hour, maybe close to an hour and a half. I think he beat Tito and the Local Boys in an hour and change. And TDK's dog, who was a multiple winner, I'm told, close like an hour 40 something, I think. My memory serves me correct. But just tough, durable, stamina dog. Paced herself well. Also a dog named Elrod. His win was an hour 20 minutes, you know. Got his front leg taken out, one of them. Took his opponent's both front legs out, literally. And just tough, durable. You know, the white dogs, most of them are thick bone, heavy muscled, pace herself well. They just like a, what's that commercial? They like a Timex watch, you know. They keep on ticking, don't stop. Several of them have gone great distance. In fact, Bullshit, when he won his title against Williams Taylor, that went 2 hours and 33 minutes in the heat, summertime. It's like, I think June is when that match was, down south, Southern California. And tough. When he lost to Champion Beast, he went almost 2 hours. I saw him win an hour 9. He won in 19 minutes, hour 9, and then 2 hours and 33 minutes. Then he lost in like an hour 56 or something, 54 or something like that. Stamina, white dogs, they go together. Wrestling ability, I believe this female's name was Chata. like a lot of bolio dogs or bolio bred dogs or descendants of bolio, this female was a descendant of TVK's, Tri-Valley Kennels, Rusty. Up there as far as wrestling ability, which is what kept her in the fight. This match went 3 hours and 23 minutes to a draw. And it was hammer and tongs for 2 hours. And Chata's wrestling ability is what kept her in the match, because she was older, almost 7 years old, had white hair on her muzzle, broken teeth, saggy teats from having pups. One point, the other bitch, I forget her name, but she bit her in the belly area, opened up one of her teats, blood and milk was coming out at the same time. So, but she kept it close. And if you know dogs that you've seen wrestling ability, they stay close to their opponent and they move. Kind of that, when I move, you move, or when you move, I move. And they stay close to you and they maneuver around. They use their front legs to maneuver. A lot of times they're on their back leg. They could be up on their hind legs or down on all fours, and they're just wrestling with you, just like you see kind of in Roman Greco wrestling or the other type of wrestling. They roll around and they stay close to their opponent. They don't lose their holds. They don't come out of hold too much. I don't think these bitches were out of hold for more than 15 minutes out of the 3+ hours of the draw. And she had a lot of experience, and it showed. And the other bitch, although she was blind in one eye, kind of canceled each other out a little bit, bit harder, and cut her down. And like I said, she was still on her feet. Both of them were on their feet for most of the show. But I just remember her maneuvers, her moves, They have good pit intelligence, meaning they know their surroundings. They know when they're going up against a wall, or how far they're pushing the opponent into the corner or the side of the wall, rolling around, coming up in a hole, on their back feet, using their front legs, fighting the head, fighting the muzzle, fighting the ears, and then switch and go to the front end and shake like that. So she had great wrestling ability. Intelligence, again, one of my own dogs, Clayton Blood, smartest dog I ever seen. Very fast too, as far as speed goes. Head dog, hardly no mouth, good finish, because when you get dogs down, he would go in their throat. And just all the maneuvers that you've seen smart, intelligent dogs do. Backed into a corner, their tail touches, or the side tail touches, they spin out. Use their back legs when they're pushed into a corner to walk along the box, alongside the box. If you see dogs do it, it's a trip. Just instinctively. Maneuver around, stay on their feet, keep their legs tucked, move, move, move. Again, ring generalship. They know the pit, they know the box, they know where they're at, their surroundings all the time. They can sense it, they see it. They don't take their eyes off their opponent. It's a hell of a smart dog. Not everybody's favorite style, because he really didn't have any mouth, although he could damage a dog's muzzle because the dog's trying to get out of that hold and they hurt themselves more than him doing it. But the damage was there, and especially in his first match. I didn't think he did any damage, and the opponent told me, man, Richard, he wrecked his muzzle, That's all. And I went and looked, yep, because it was kind of dark where we were at. We didn't have a lot of light, but that didn't hamper their performance. Both dogs. It was a good match, hour 39. And then he won again in 2 hours and 43 minutes, and he passed away after that show. Had his lungs punctured, very hard biter he was going against. But just an intelligent dog, smart as far as pit smarts. And even outside, he didn't waste energy. That was one of his main attributes. A lot of my dogs were hot, so, and a lot of dogs are. They hit the chain, they see something that bothers them, something runs by, some varmint or some squirrel, whatever it is, and they'll go after it, chickens, whatever. He wasn't like that. If anything, he would wait till they got into his area and then snatch them up. It's real smart. So I rolled him in the heat. His first time I rolled him was in the middle of summer, early, so it wasn't 100 degrees, but it was in the 90s. Where we live gets hot, summertime where we live. And he went a half hour, no problem, never took a breath. And he wasn't off his feet much in his whole rose and match career. Had good balance, enough strength to keep himself on his feet. And at 2 hours 43 minutes, he was still on his feet. And the other dog quit, so he won. Gameness. Now this dog I mentioned many times, and he's a dog that I compare other dogs' gameness to, which is Ronnie, the dog I got from Ronald Boyles. Heavy Boleo bred, more on that side, a little bit of out with the Hammond stuff. But bred down from Bobby Jr. He was out of Haddock's Ugly and Boyle's Susie. Commander Whitehead, Bobby Jr., Sweet Pea, which was Chainsaw Red, Boyle's Chainsaw Red, and of course Boyle's Dirty Mary. Those types of breedings. Heavy Boleo. Just when he lost to Grand Champion Badger in 53 minutes, I did a courtesy scratch with him. He dragged his back in, and he was unconscious when I stopped it, so I had to shake him to wake him up, which tells me when he went unconscious, the last thing on his mind was his opponent, because when he woke up, that's what he was looking for. And I faced him up, and he dragged himself across the scratch. So that's, to me, dead game. And he didn't make it afterwards. I always regretted that. I wish I had more experience and knew more about what I was doing. If I had him 10 years later, no doubt he would have beat some very good dogs. He would have made champion, maybe grand champion like that. He was that caliber of dog. It's my inexperience and my ego and ignorance is why he didn't do better. But that takes nothing away from him. And he had speed and smarts. Fight the head, fight the front legs, fight the stifles. The tip of the nose, he loved that. He'd grab the tip of the nose and shake, have the other dog hollering. He bit good, not devastating, but he could do damage. And again, that heart is what stood out with him for me. Some intangibles. If you want to speak about relentless drive, dogs that just push, Mr. Rowdy was like that. My own Mr. Rowdy, who won 2 in hour 28 and 46 minutes, and then lost very game in 2 hours and 31 minutes. Many years later, I saw a female bred down from Mr. Rowdy, who reminded me of Mr. Rowdy, named Reddy, OTK's Reddy. Had the bat ears, that same build, kind of gnarly, old-timey dog, hard bone, hard muscle, rugged looking, just that when she worked, she would cry as she would pull with nothing in front of her, just pulling on a lead out for a walk, hand walking, and she's crying, looking for something, trying to get something. Just that intense, relentless work ethic. And the same thing when they're shown, they're that way too. They just get it, go at it, do it, whatever it takes. Ignore pain, ignore fatigue, ignore everything else. That's the one thing on their mind, is to get their opponent. And Reddy was like that. She reminded me a lot of Mr. Rowdy. Not just in look, but style. One thing I liked Reddy, which is something I tried to keep in my dogs, was I liked them to finish in the throat. Because at that time, it helps, like any time in history, if your dog has a hard mouth. But when you have a throat dog, they don't have to bite hard to choke you. And if you can't breathe, you can't move, can't do anything. Well, that's what I liked about it, and Reddy was an expert at that. I would say the best throat dog I ever saw, that even Bad Billy would finish him in the throat. Smith and Walton's Bad Billy. But the best throat dog I ever saw was Cat and Company's Grand Champion Jinx. Sometimes he didn't start there, but he always finished there. And he would always go there. And none of his matches went an hour. I think I refereed his last match. It went 28 minutes. He beat us in 41 minutes. He beat Tito and the Local Boys. He beat LA Dream Team, beat Scream City in 30 or 40 minutes. I forget, but I probably saw 3 out of his 5 matches, and I ref one. I lost one, and I refed one, and I saw the one with Scream City. I forget the dog's name, but that dog had beaten a champion. But there he was in the throat. And, I like that hold too. But Reddy was like that, just relentless drive and pressure. And she had some of my blood in her, and she reminded me of my favorite dog, Mr. Rowdy. Speaking of chest brisket type, you hear Zebo was like that. You hear Art was like that. Probably the best at it. And I only saw him like what you would consider off the chain with Smith and Walton's Bad Billy. Hit the brisket, puncture holes. Kind of patient. He wasn't real fast, but he's deliberate. And he knew how to finish opponents. And he would puncture those lungs and get them down and then go to the throat and finish them. Bill was a shoulder dog too, shoulder and chest, but he didn't have the mouth near what Billy had. But he had that hold, and almost like a body puncher. They can beat you up at the same time, but Billy didn't just beat you up, he broke you up. And very impressive dog. Back end dogs, Stifle dogs, you'd have to put Chinaman in there. And Grand Champion Badger. I would consider those two the best Stifle dogs I ever seen. Again, I lost the Badger. Saw Chinaman roll. Chinaman would go foul. And Badger would hit the kidneys. He would go to the belly, kidneys, stifles. Chinaman would go to the stifles, belly, foul, groin area. Similar styles. They were good at it. They shot for it, looking for it. Doesn't mean they couldn't fight the head or they couldn't fight the shoulders. They would do that too. Chest, like that. But I think in their mind, their ultimate goal was to get to that back end. And they were expert at it. So put that all together. Those types of back end dogs would be the perfect type to have. And I even rolled against the son of Chinaman one time. He did the same thing. Went straight up the middle, grabbed my dog by the nuts. Very impressive. So another dog that had great endurance. He'll pass into the, if I didn't mention him here, he would pass into history unless you really followed the breed. You never would have heard about him. His match was reported. And he was owned by a truck driver. The dog's name was Sumo. Great endurance. He only had one match. He didn't make it. Both dogs expired after that match. It was a tough rumble. 54-pound behemoths, Mack trucks, tanks, whatever you want to call it. They would slam together. You could hear the noise. You could hear the cutting. You could hear the pressure. Hear them breathing loud, when it got down to the wire. 2 hours and 20 minutes of slam, bang, action. Big dogs, big heart. Sumo was losing a good part of the match, but he started to come on, and once he took over, there was no looking back. They made several scratches. Sumo's legs were cut to shreds, the front legs, and he didn't stop. He didn't quit. Great endurance, just durability like that. I just had to mention him, just as part of the historical remembrance and fact. But one of the best big dog fights I ever seen. 54-pound dogs. So you put it all together, you need a dog that, has strength and power and mouth and speed and stamina, wrestling ability, intelligence, gameness, relentless drive, experts at where they hit, the damage they do, and all that stuff. That's what would make for a perfect dog. So if I could put all this stuff I'm talking about here together, I think I'd have one dog that was very hard to beat. And I had more than a couple dogs that were hard to beat. Some never lost, some did, but took everything they had to lose. The opponent had. Most of them were long distance when I lost. If they were under an hour, it was a tough fight where they're biting hard and slamming each other and moving all over the place. A lot of great memories of a time past. Seen some great dogs, and I've seen dogs in a lot of different places. California, Oregon, all in the past. Nevada, Arizona, Texas, Louisiana, all over Mexico, even farther south than that and farther east than the U.S. But just great memories of great dogs. If I could put them all together, this would be the kind of dog I would want. It could do it all, as they say. Again, thanks for the vid, Paul Munoz. Hope you guys enjoy it. Comment, include what you like. Name some dogs that you were familiar with or you would have liked to see or did see. And we'll keep the vids and the conversations going. Thanks for your support.